back. I kind of neatened everything up this morning.
That's cool.
Sure.
Yeah, I should probably actually
try not to move my cup. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna make a green screen. I think I'm a little tired of seeing like just having a weird head.
Yeah,
and that is how
why I'm not using
started.
it, because it's very, you know.
Okay. Okay, Greg. Anyway, so we're live now. Welcome to Hashtag Coffee, where we talk about progressive politics and the Trump administration, and sometimes we just want to talk about science, because I don't know if you've noticed, shit's depressing. It's like the best.
Corey, sometimes peeing leads to pooping.
Sometimes. Also, what's funny? On my watch, we're a couple of minutes behind. I thought we were actually starting late this morning, which is why
we're 2 minutes early.
Yeah, that's why I had to tell Greg that sometimes peeing leads to pooping.
Yeah, I'm so glad you explained that to everybody, because
I mean, you brought it up. I was pretty excited about not having to talk about it, because we might have actually been showing up live, but nope, that's not how this is going to work at all. That's okay.
Oh, we are live now.
Oh, so, yes, we're very live. Yeah, that's a thing that's true.
So I'm so glad you got to lay that out for the people, because it's important. That's what we do, right?
It is what we do.
Yeah. So good morning, everybody. Please say hello in the comments. Both people who are in said we got them well trained now. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Sherry, for commenting. Throw us a like and a share if you would be so kind while you're at it. We're going to start off today with an argument.
I mean, we can't. Just to give people context on that, actually created a 45-second video that is a loop of Pelosi ripping up the State of the Union address over and over and over again, because that's how much I liked it. And I was going to throw that up on TikTok and basically just have a list, because you can put like words on it or whatever. Just have a list of like the top 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 fucking shitty things that Donald Trump has done. Or just Donald Trump lied for 45 minutes and that piece of paper represented dog shit. And then Greg said, he actually had a differing view on that. So I actually held off because I wanted to actually have this discussion, because you have proven me wrong before.
Well, I mean, I like, this is the thing. Like, I feel like there's a potential to fall into exactly what is going to defeat us. Okay, and that is that we get all wrapped up around the axles of conflict over things like this among ourselves, which fuels and amplifies everything the other side thinks about what we do. And so, I find myself in total agreement. I did not watch. I watched maybe 3 minutes of the State of the Union last night, and I was sickened, like I always am, because that 3 minutes, there were 3 lies in the 3 minutes that I watched. 3 inaccurate misrepresentations,
right?
And hooting and hollering from Republicans. They were eating it up with a fucking spoon, and I can't imagine how frustrating it must have been to be Nancy Pelosi, who is far more informed on the specifics of those lies than I am, far more involved in the day-to-day fight and questioning about what we're doing to stop it. Far more devastated, I'm sure, by the Senate's behavior in this critical moment in our history. And I understand and I empathize with all of that. But, and I'm going to show my big butt now. This is the first petty thing any of us have done.
Yeah, that word is that's where we immediately.
It was childish. If your child,
it's not at all.
Child tore up something that was important to you, you would call that a childish act.
Okay, Greg. Okay. At some point, you have to look at what they're doing and not be okay with it and not allow it. Right. And when a president does something that has, to the best of my knowledge, never happened before, coming before the State of the Union, and lie his whole way through it, you don't just fucking sit there and do nothing. Right.
No,
it is not childish to rip it up. It's not childish to have the man arrested. Right. Like that. Like we're either going to actually dig our heels in and start fighting this for real, or we will lose. And being like the better people constantly is not going to work. It won't. Nothing is served by being genteel in that moment. Nothing. It's It's literally how we will lose. Because now, like everywhere on Twitter, half the people I fucking talk to, they don't even see Trump as bad. Because they have to be constantly reminded how horrible he is. I don't know if you've noticed this, but
Yes,
except
I
for the
have.
people that watch this show, right? Like it's a thing. And so until we start digging our heels in and treating it like the enemy that it is, we will lose.
And I submit to you that we need to maintain our dignity in this moment.
Well, I guess the main difference is I don't feel like she didn't. I feel like that was intensely dignified and hyper badass.
She was asked about it after the speech, and what she said was, essentially it was what did she call it? A something of lies, a
giant dumpster fire,
cornucopia of lies, or
good word.
That's not the word she used.
Either way, but, good word from you. I mean,
it was a complete body of lies, and that is how the Speaker of the House message across. That's how the speaker acts, with dignity.
Right. Okay. In a country that is basically 1 millimeter away from a World Wrestling fucking Federation TV show right now, that plays to our crowd and to no one else. That doesn't even get into the. And this is what I've been saying forever.
But do you think wait, stop. Do you think any moderate Republicans have the same view of her act as you do? Because I don't think so.
Here's the thing: moderate Republicans. There's two sides to this equation, right? Persuasion, which I think is finished, and turnout. And turnout in Iowa was dog shit, right? I don't think we're going to persuade any of them. I don't think they're persuadable. So now it's turnout. Right. And the people that are swinging the most per the wilderness are the people in the suburbs who are really seeing this for the disgusting nonsense that it is from the Trump administration. And right now, if she does the nice thing, Trump dominates the narrative. You know what's dominating the narrative today? That she was a fucking badass. We need to dominate
Not everybody shares that view.
No, I get that. Right.
And not everybody that doesn't like Trump shares that view. That's my point.
Maybe. And honestly, like we're either going to start dominating news cycles or we're going to lose. And I've been saying that for 3 years. Right. So I don't know. And I love this discussion. I love that there's a very, decent probability that, I mean, she didn't use a baseball bat. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, I mean I own the fact that I'm probably still a little dialed out from watching everything fly apart yesterday. Like, I don't think the Democratic, watching Claire McCaskill shit on Bernie Sanders, watching people support him, watching Rio do the same thing, watching everyone fucking yell about socialism and yada, yada, yada.
Oh, that horrifying homophobic tweet that you shared this morning.
Dude.
Oh, my God. That was just...
And honestly, Bernie Sanders supporters...
can't be those people.
Some of them are intensely gross. Like the Bernie bro thing that everyone was talking about, it's fucking real. Right?
Right.
So yesterday I watched it, and I don't think that anyone's going to pull the Democratic coalition together, and the Democratic coalition needs to be airtight or we're going to lose. So the sunrise was fantastic this morning.
That's good. Good. Comments. Boxer Cat, that's our friend Elizabeth. She said it was the most innocuous of the actions she considered. Donna Van Meter says he was invited to the house as a guest. He disrespected his host. That's true.
Breach.
Ginny Rupert, it was childish for him to ignore her. It was childish for her to do that. And that's the view I share. I understand it. I agree that it's taking some of the news cycle away from him.
Yeah.
But we can do this with dignity. We must do this with dignity. We have to. And if we lose in the effort by being dignified and thoughtful and mature, then we lose. I understand the weight of that. I understand the weight of what that loss would mean to people that I know who are poor, who are of color, who are gay. I understand all of that. And I just can't be okay with us stooping to the Trumpian level of discourse on this.
It wasn't though.
Oh, it's
Right?
it's exactly what he would do. He's done it before. There's a 90-second commercial out about his actions where he throws some climate change paper across the dais, at a rally.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he did. And I just it hurt a bit. And I don't want anybody to think this means that I'm defending him in any way. I don't think
No.
I think anybody who knows me knows that's not what I'm doing. But at the same time, and Boxer Cat is reminding me, can we allow Nancy to not always be perfect 100% of the time and to show some emotion? That's probably the best argument against what I'm saying, is that she had a human moment, and I should be okay with that. And I am okay with that. But I just feel like
it's not like the Democrats have made it a habit. Like I want to honor you for the point that you're trying to make. I also want to read my mom's point. I am absolutely 100% fine with Pelosi's actions. So maybe I just come by it honestly. Like maybe maybe it's like we're a Canadian, and honestly, it was long past due to have a little bit of a fucking bar fight,
right?
Because that's the thing. Like dignity is Schiff making one of the best speeches of all time on the floor to no effect whatsoever, none at all. Most Democrats won't ever hear it. Most Democrats, Greg, won't ever hear it, because they don't care anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Maybe
listening to The Wilderness again, and I urge everyone to do it. They basically talk about the mirror effect. They didn't call it that, but that's what it is. The average low information voter, which makes up the vast majority of any Democratic coalition, and obviously every single Republican who isn't rich, responds to exactly this one thing. The more things that you repeat and get them to repeat, they will start to consider as common sense. And we've seen this work with Trump, right? To the point where common sense means you also get to ignore literally every fact. At some point, we need to dig our heels in when they lie. We have to say this is bullshit. And she did.
Have you seen
because otherwise we're normalizing it. Every day we don't do it. Every day they don't do it. We're normalizing it. Every day we don't do this, where Pelosi literally just says this is dog shit, is another 10 days that he's going to lie and get away with it.
Right. Have you seen the ad for Party of Lincoln from the Party of Lincoln PAC? I would like to share that with us right now.
Okay, sounds good.
I would like to make sure at least the 15 people that are watching us right now have seen the closing of Schiff's speech.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I do want to say go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Jump in.
I just wanted to bring up a tweet that Seth put out that I thought, Seth from the Dividend Report. Everybody this morning is talking about Pelosi, and there's still tens of millions of people that welfare isn't helping that should be helping.
Yep.
And Fred Eater used to be a school teacher, got some, got into some health issues, is a fan of the show, messaged me this morning because he was watching Sunrise after the fact, and was watching it in line for food stamps with a couple homeless guys. He has to beg for food. So, Pelosi ripped up a speech that deserved to get ripped up.
I'm taking all that on board.
Cool.
You're not wrong. All right, here we go.
It is midnight in Washington. The lights are finally going out in the Capitol after a long day in the impeachment trial of Donald J. Trump. You can't trust this president to do the right thing, not for 1 minute, not for not for the sake of our country. You just can't.
Bing, bing, bong, bong.
He will not change, and you know it. History will not be kind to Donald Trump. I think we all know that, not because it will be written by never-Trumpers, but because whenever we have departed from the values of our nation, we have come to regret it, and that regret is written all over the pages of our history. If you find that the House has proved its case and still vote to acquit, your name will be tied to his with a cord of steel and for all of history. He has betrayed our national security. He has compromised our elections, and he will do so again. You will not change him. You cannot constrain him. Truth matters little to him. What's right matters even less, and decency matters not at all. We have proven Donald Trump guilty. Now do impartial justice and convict him.
Okay, so just for the record, that is 1 million times better than ripping up a speech. Whoa.
Yeah, that's what the people we know who are conservatives and Republicans are ignoring and are allowing. And I think that Pelosi tearing up the speech hardened their view that we are the problem. And I don't know. I've tried everything I can think of to bring those people to a dignified understanding of where we are, and I'm not having any success. People that we know and love here in town are posting this morning about what an awful thing that was. People that you and I consider reasonable human beings. People who put campaign signs up for my mayoral race in front of their business are agreeing that was an awful thing she did. And I'm flummoxed by it. I want to wade into all those conversations, but I know exactly how that's going to go. It's all lies. It's a house of lies. And
I think that because you're right to feel that way. And honestly, I think that was where I was getting so frustrated yesterday. So everyone fucking how easily forget how unbelievably like nuclear dumpster fire this guy is. Right?
Yeah.
He ripped up a speech that was literally mostly not true and honoring a guy who literally made up a story about a 14-year-old girl fucking posing naked. Right? Like, people need reminding. And like that, everyone should be forced at gunpoint to watch that video. And by gunpoint, I mean like with a water gun.
Figuratively. Yeah.
Super Stokers only. Interestingly enough, Nancy the Ripper is actually trending harder than Petty Pelosi.
Well, we're winning on Twitter,
which is fun.
You know how many people in Iowa got their news and information from Twitter?
No, it's like 17% or something like that.
Yeah,
it's
less than
pretty low.
20%.
Yeah. Listening to the Wilderness talk about where the Republicans are getting their news, and I think Sinclair is far scarier than Fox News now because we don't see it.
Yep, it's pretty invisible. Yep. But again, that may talk more to the relevance of radio, in any ongoing conversation about, influence.
Yeah, that kind of media markets. Well, and they were talking too about the fact that they have an entire content creation group, right? Multiple groups actually, like spawns of Breitbart and things like that are creating content and sending it out to targeted people and running A/B tests constantly. You know who's not doing that? Any Democrat.
Right.
Now, the company that this lady, the Wilderness, was talking to about this, who started her own kind of thing, and you'll remember this name, is Acronym.
Right.
Acronym, which recently bought fucking Shadow, which made the app that failed in Iowa.
Yeah.
And again, I want because I feel confident that the coffee crowd. I don't have to talk, too much about this to you guys, I don't think, but the Twitter sphere went completely and totally bananas. The Yang crowd, which is very disaffected with government in the first place, and rightfully so, automatically would treat literally any tiny piece of evidence as a sign of coordination and malice, right? It instantaneously conspiracy theories were all over the place, to the point where I think I just wanted to quit politics. Like, it's bad.
Yeah, the conspiracy theory level,
it's bad.
It's really bad. It's
just like without a mountain of actual proof. Never ascribe to malice what can be explained by incompetence.
Yeah, I'm seeing things. The areas of Iowa that most supported Bernie are the ones that they're having trouble with. No, those are also the most populous parts of Iowa, which means it's simply a log jam. It's a traffic jam of data.
Yeah.
And I mean, having worked for a PAC in the 2018 cycle here in Florida, when we were faced with a recount, we managed to carry that off. It took 2 weeks to sort out the election results but no one in Florida had ever been faced with that before. We like since the new recount laws were put in place after Bush Gore, no Florida supervisor of elections, no Florida party county manager had ever had to contend with the recount process. So we all had to learn it on conference calls driving to the courthouses where those votes were being counted, right? So no, there's just it's shitty and it looks bad. You're right, it does, but that doesn't mean it's a massive conspiracy by the DNC. It means that local people on the ground who are volunteers. I was the only paid person at the Hernando County Courthouse for 2 weeks. Yeah, and I was being paid by the PAC that employed me, not by the Democratic Party. Even though I was the Democratic Party's representative, I was being paid to be there. But the other 25 people, and I have photographs of all the people that helped represent the Democratic Party at that recount, they were all volunteers. Yeah. They showed up for 3 to 5 hours a day on their own. So that's what's happening in Iowa. The people that are bearing the brunt of all this angst and drama are volunteers. They're people that give a shit about their state, and ascribing any kind of false motive to them, I think is it's too early.
Couple of the comments. So yeah, Doreen, did you see the video Chet put on his YouTube about irregularities to the precinct? So I want to just make sure everyone is really comfortable with this idea. When you have what's called an end study of one, or one tiny piece of evidence, you have to look at it in the total of everything that's there. Now, they changed all the rules for coxing, and honestly, the rule changes were supposed to be really, really good. They changed all the rules for this, and not everybody was up to speed on it instantaneously. Were there people that gave the rules out in error? Yes, but that error rate probably isn't higher than a completely normal error rate, right? So you're looking at one precinct. If there's like 700 precincts and you can prove that in over half of the 1,800 precincts that was a thing, now that's interesting, but we don't know that, right? Now the coin flip thing. Did you see the video of the coin flip guy? Right? Like, that guy is a piece of shit, but that's one guy out of 1,800. Just happened to be a supporter, just happened to be a shitty person, and right? Like we got to be careful, because I'm telling you right now, like, if you go and look at Trump's feed, if you go and look at Trump's feed yesterday, it was all about how they're going to rob Bernie of the election, right?
I got to leave a note for Donna here.
No problem. So it's just, and I'm not even saying that it's impossible that there wasn't somebody in
any non-food needs.
I have some still.
Okay, well, I'm just saying if there's more that we need.
Okay.
Sorry, shopping list.
That's all right. Hey, shit happens. We just gotta be careful. That's all. Like that. If we find out that that's actually the case, great. But what I watched yesterday is the death knell of this election. It's literally every single one of the camps running for the hills to blame everybody else in the camp, and fucking Trump's just pouring gasoline on it. That's all he's gonna need to win. That's why, I keep coming down hard on this. Like, that's literally, like, that's it. Like, we don't have big margins. I just don't believe that anymore. Right? Like, we absolutely should. It would make way more sense if we did. But when Joe Walsh walks down, a line of people, and literally they are entirely inoculated from fact. Like, hubris is dangerous. We all know that, right?
We're talking about a small percentage of the delegates required to win the election. We're talking about an unrepresentative small state.
Yep.
Okay. So getting discouraged over that, I think, is understandable but unproductive. Like, what we need to do, if we're concerned about the incompetence of people that are running our election process or running our precincts or canvassing our neighborhoods, we should make sure that competent people are doing it. And how we do that is by doing it our fucking selves.
Yeah, yep. And seriously,
like, that time to get more engaged.
Yeah.
If you're unhappy with how it's going.
Yeah.
Like, these are the same view that says, I just don't pay any attention to politics because they're all crooked. Okay, well, that's just how the government is. The government is us. The government is made of citizens. It just is. And the citizens we choose, or that we delegate choice of, are our responsibility. That's us. We're doing this, or we're not doing it. Right? That's the reality.
Oh, yeah.
Having struggled to find volunteers in the 2018 cycle to get out and knock doors for Andrew Gillum over build that wall, Ron DeSantis, who's holding his children hostage with the Trump message of being anti-immigrant, was shocking to me that there weren't more people that were willing to give up 2 hours on a Saturday and walk around their own neighborhood and talk to their own neighbors about what we could do to change that. That thought that not electing Rick Scott, senator of our state, was more important than whatever they were doing on Saturday morning.
Right.
And shit canning Bill Nelson, a lifetime career public servant and an astronaut. People made the decision every week that I worked that campaign that whatever they were doing on Saturday morning was more important than those two things. And that's an indictment not of Trump or of Rick Scott, but of us.
Yep.
So, but Dave, the government is corporations. It hasn't been citizens in decades. No, it's been citizens. It's been corporations for less than a decade, because we let that happen, because we did not elect people that would stop that from happening. That's us. We did that. We deferred to them. We gave them that power.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's what will keep bringing me back over and over and over and over and over again. It's fucking easy to give up, right? Like, honestly, like, especially for me, just personally, selfishly, I don't need to do any of this shit. It's never going to matter to me. Like, literally, it never will matter to me at all. But like, if I don't do anything, then I'm that asshole that didn't do anything. Like, you're the guy in the bar watching somebody get abused.
Yeah. So therefore, I say it does affect you, right? And personally, personally for you, our friend Susie McAnally went through the entire legal process of becoming a citizen of the United States, and she's whiter than white and Scottish. She's from Western Europe, and they have now done 2 investigations of her process.
That's crazy.
So it's going to affect you, Mr. Canadian white immigrant guy.
Oh,
you're going to get around to you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's possible. That's entirely possible. It's only a matter of time before I get thrown up against the wall. But real talk, we'll move to Canada before that, and that's.
Well, as I think maybe one of our very first conversations about this topic, the thing I said to you was, I'm glad you have a second option, because some of us don't.
Right. And I feel that too. And we might have to rent a bus.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me immigrate the first time, so I'm pretty sure they're not going to let me immigrate the second.
I know places where you can walk across.
Oh, I know. I know exactly the place.
Oh, no. I mean, the place is like 98% of the border, Greg.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, but the point is, when I got there,
yeah,
I was not allowed to vote. I was not allowed to be employed. I lived like most illegal immigrants in this country, afraid that every slamming door out in front of the house was immigration coming to chuck me back over the border.
That was me for 7 years.
I'm never gonna do that again. Right. So this is my home, and I will continue to fight for it if it fucking kills me, and it might. I'm not gonna stop, and I just don't understand how other people aren't making the calculation that shit's on fire, yo. It's time. Henry Rollins, who is a punk icon and a poet of sorts. I'm not a giant fan of Henry Rollins, but after the 2016 election, he said something really striking, and it's kind of guided my life in a way. He said, "This is not the time to be discouraged. This is exactly the moment that Joe Strummer was training us for. That this is the time for us to speak, and speak loudly and strenuously." And I think that getting out and knocking doors and changing minds is the best possible use of what Joe Strummer taught us.
Agreed.
I hope we don't get to the need to carry AK-47s and have a violent revolution. I'm doing everything I can to help us avoid that moment. And
yeah, that would not be ideal.
No, and 2 dozen, 3 dozen armed, heavily armed, camouflaged, flak jacketed gun rights activists walked into the Kentucky legislative building last week to protest a gun safety bill. You cannot carry an umbrella through the metal detectors in that courthouse. You cannot carry a sign with a stick on it because it might be used as a weapon. But these assholes were allowed through to be in the chamber. You know what they were? You know what the draconian gun safety bill was about? It limited the number of handguns you can purchase in a month, and it required background checks.
How utterly evil of them.
That was it. We're coming to a moment when not enough of us are showing up.
Yeah, and that's I think the biggest takeaway from Iowa was almost entirely ignored.
Turnout was flat. There was no growth in turnout.
Turnout's down.
Yep. It was less than 2018.
It's not going to be enough. Yeah, less than a congressional race. It's not going to be close to enough. Because, like, honestly, like, Trump's turnout is going to increase between 2016 and this year. I guarantee it. So, yay! But that's the fight, right? Like that, what else are you going to do on a Tuesday?
Right. So they're going to vote to acquit the president today in the Senate and crown essentially the first king of America, and he will be a conservative. It will not be King Barack Obama. It will be King Donald Trump. Susan Collins, I'm sure the president learned his lesson. Yeah. You know what he learned? He learned that he can pick up the phone tomorrow and call everybody and ask them for dirt.
Such a joke.
That's what's going to happen.
Such a joke.
Adam Schiff is 100% correct. This will embolden. Before we got to this moment where we, on the day we were learning that there wouldn't be witnesses, he loosened the restrictions on production and use of landmines, and he added 8 countries to the travel ban. Yeah. What do you think he's going to do tomorrow? What do you think he's going to do tomorrow?
Yep. No argument there.
They're going to pull the ban all Muslims from traveling to our country thing again. I think that's one of the first things he's going to do.
I think you're right.
No, see, I don't think so. I mean, I know Joe tuned out for a while. Dave saying even Joe Strummer would be looking to move to Canada at this point, but he never left England. You know what I mean? He left and traveled, but he fought in England. Yeah. If you have never seen it, sitting down and watching the documentary "The Future Is Unwritten" is absolutely worth 2 hours of your time. And it's about his journey to political action, and that the music was secondary to him. So,
hey, yeah. In other news, and Sherry mentioned this before, and I didn't know what was going on, so I had to Google it. Father Parkland victim, that's the Fred what's his pickle escorted from State of the Union while Trump talked about protecting the Second Amendment.
Yeah. He tweeted about it this morning, and he said that he stood up and spoke because he was so disgusted hearing President Trump talk about the Second Amendment and not address gun violence. And he was apologetic and felt humiliated and bad, but he understood why they removed him because he lost his head for a moment. Yeah. I'm living in a world where a Tuskegee Airman, a 100-year-old African-American aviation pioneer, the Tuskegee Airmen. Do you know about them? The first African-Americans to be given flight status in the U.S. Army Air Corps. They won for their bravery in combat. They never lost a bomber. They never lost a plane that they were protecting. It's an extraordinary story. A 100-year-old Tuskegee Airman was in the room last night, and Rush Limbaugh, and guess which one of them got the Presidential Medal of Freedom? There are only 2 other radio broadcasters on the list of recipients of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, Corey. Lowell Thomas, who was a famous news radio pioneer, and Paul Harvey, who most Americans will immediately recognize the name Paul Harvey. He did essays every day on radio about good news stories, and a little gimmicky thing called The Rest of the Story, where he told you a story of someone really famous or extraordinary, and you didn't know who it was until the last minute of the thing. That's the quality of radio broadcasters that have won the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And fucking Rush Limbaugh, who has said horrifying things about gay people, about women, about people of color, about homeless people for decades, spewing hate and encouraging a level of unreality on AM radio for decades. That guy, he won the Presidential Medal of Freedom last night. And I've seen people mistakenly call it the Medal of Honor. Please don't do that. It was the Medal of Freedom, which is a civilian honor. It has nothing to do with military service in any way. Yeah, Rush Limbaugh, Medal of Freedom. And it was Melania Trump that put the medal around his neck. Be best anti-bullying Melania Trump. The biggest radio bully in America and the biggest bully in America standing right next to her. And she put a fucking Medal of Freedom on that guy's neck. Yeah, Boxer Cat saying, I've read he wants Bolton arrested for mishandling classified intel. Listen, listen. There's no one writing books that has handled more classified material than John Bolton. John Bolton knows that process inside and out. There's absolutely no way that they're going to make that stick on John.
And honestly, like he followed protocol the entire time.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah,
even when he didn't have to. Like he gave them the opportunity to clear classified material in the book, and they haven't finished doing that. He gave them the required period of time.
Yeah,
and
of course, but of course he's going to say that, right?
Yeah,
but God forbid somebody rips up his fucking speech full of lies.
Yeah, I understand it. I really do.
I know, and believe me, like the like going full descent into that. I am sympathetic to the argument that it would serve them, but I don't believe it. I just don't.
Should read my Facebook feed.
Okay.
Lots of
the thing is, like,
otherwise reasonable people.
No, and honestly, and I'm sure they're reasonable and very good people. The issue with that is they're not covering Trump every single day, and they have forgotten who the fuck this man is, right? And that's, I don't know, because I mean, at the end of the day, if they have forgotten that, then maybe it doesn't matter, right? Like that, maybe we have to be civil just because that's the only way to keep the soccer moms. But it also means, we could lose the country to tyranny. So, yeah, that's fun.
President Trump threw a lot of tokens to black people last night to keep those soccer moms on his team.
Yeah.
See, he loves black people. See, I can hear it now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a really a fucking disgustingly depressing day.
Yeah, this show sucks.
Right? Why are we doing this?
I don't know.
Let's talk about science.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah.
What did I do with that link to the?
Yeah, what was that? I started reading that, and then we had to get.
It's about a planetary biologist who has seen a reinvigoration of the study of the planet Venus.
All right.
Let me copy the link here, or let me open the link and copy it, and I'll drop it in here. Yeah, here we go. Now, watch, this won't work because the link will be too long or some dumb shit like that. And I know somebody just showed me how to use the easy link thing the other day, and I forgot already. No, there it is. Basically, it's that we're beginning to re-explore Venus in a way that we hadn't done. The romantic Venus we never knew. It's entirely possible and now seemingly likely that Venus was as habitable as Earth for billions of years. Like it had an atmosphere that was absolutely the right mix of rocky and warm and wet, that it's likely that it had a thriving biosphere before runaway atmospheric changes. That has to do with the sun getting hotter over time, which is a thing that happens, and it just basically turned the atmosphere into a giant greenhouse, and that probably killed everything on the surface. We know it's extremely acidic. We know that the carbon dioxide is like 90% of the atmospheric makeup, and that most of the hydrogen and oxygen boiled off or was captured into the rock. But it's a great article about a guy who he read Isaac Asimov's story about Venusians when he was like 15 years old, and got really excited about the idea that there might be life and even people there. But every time we've gone and sent something to Venus, we've become more and more convinced that it's a toxic,
it's an oven
hellhole. It's not a place we want to go. And so NASA stopped paying attention. But the ESA, the European Space Agency, and Japan have both sent successful probes there, and they've collected years and years of data. And this guy got selected by ESA to be on the be on the team at ESA because of his peer-reviewed papers on exobiology. But I think the coolest part of the story is that the Japanese probe missed its orbit window and roamed around the sun, and they managed to reorient it. They managed to get it back in orbit around Venus about 2 years behind schedule, but they actually did the math and the proper burns and got it back to a Venusian orbit after it had gone completely around the sun out of control, which is fucking phenomenal science, man. That's really cool. So anyway, just a cool science article I felt like I needed to share this morning because
yeah.
La.
Speaking of Fred Gutenberg, Jonathan Turley was whining about Pelosi and not whining about the president's speech full of lies.
Right.
So Fred decided to respond at Jonathan Turley. I was in the room for that anti-American and hate-filled speech. I'm thankful for Speaker Pelosi having the spine to stand up to him. You are a shell of your former self. What happened to you?
Nice.
Yeah. You know, no big deal. His kids just got shot by an AR-15 in their school. But God forbid she fucking rip up a speech.
It's 10 miles from your house.
Is that really 10 miles from my house?
Yep.
Damn, Daniel.
Yep. South Broward County.
Oh, fucking air.
Yep. Just across the county line from you.
Cool.
Yep. Well, the high school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas was the woman who wrote River of Grass, the story of the Everglades, the natural history of the Everglades, which, by the way, you should read now that you're living down there. You will want to go and see her house.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Janet Reno, who was once our attorney general, used to go and sit on Marjorie's porch and talk with her for hours, which I thought was a pretty cool story. She was always welcoming of people that showed up at her house just to say hi and share her love of the Everglades. And Janet Reno was one of the people that used to do that. Also, Carl Hyacin, the author, and Dave Barry from the Miami Herald both talk about having made the pilgrimage out to Marjorie's house when she was in her 90s to talk to her about all that. So, and you're living right there, man. You need to get in your car and go.
It's funny. I parked my car 2.5 weeks ago right in front of the apartment because you don't get to keep your parking spot, right?
Right.
And I haven't moved it since.
There's so much cool stuff. Cape Florida Lighthouse. You should go see Cape Florida Lighthouse at the south end of Biscayne Bay. That's a really beautiful park. Yep.
Yeah. Nate Silver is summing up where my head's at as far as the Democratic race is concerned. We're at one of those points when nobody seems like a particularly good bet to win the Democratic nomination, and yet somebody has to.
So if I could boil down all of our anger and angst and humiliation and weird feelings into something productive today, here's what I know: that Elizabeth Warren and Klobuchar and Buttigieg and Sanders and Biden are every one of them, and Andrew Yang are every one of them going to be better presidents than the current occupant of the White House. Every single one of them.
Can confirm.
I'm not excited about some of those people as candidates.
Bloomberg, even, for fuck's sake.
Right? Bloomberg is winning. Like, did you hear the thing that he said yesterday? Yep. Somebody asked him, do you really think that people want to watch two billionaires fight it out on television?
Who's the other one?
Who's the other one?
Like, and I actually, I put a thing up on Twitter almost instantly, like if we're going to descend into pure oligarchy, watching a bunch of, watching, Trump
one
dissolve.
Billionaire. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Watching sweet digs for a year. What are you gonna do?
He doubled down on his spending in all markets yesterday.
Yeah,
Bloomberg.
Yeah.
So it's likely he's going to spend $1 billion on this campaign season and maybe lose personally.
Yeah.
But
they're all anti-Trump ads, every one of them, right? And so. And I was talking to some Yang Gang about this. Like, if he wants to run in the race to spend $1 billion on anti-Trump ads, well, Yang just stays positive. Fucking do it. Awesome. Good. Right. And that's watching MSNBC yesterday, and while Claire McCaskill got some cred for her analysis during the Senate impeachment trial, she burned it fast, dismissing Yang completely. Dismissing anybody who wants that stupid free college thing. Like, how dare you want anything free, you silly, stupid little people? Like, it was like the disconnection of the elites in the Democratic Party basically summed up perfectly in her. And the I mean, she's a Republican who just happens to believe that putting people in cages is a bad idea. Good for her, right? But the entire party, the majority of the party, I think, still wants to go for something, whatever they think moderate is, right? I think is where everything's going to go. I think Bernie's capped out, at 30-35%, and probably won't ever get any higher. And so the rest of like the amount of energy that I'm seeing for, oh my God, we can't let somebody who's called himself a socialist run against Donald Trump. What are you, fucking crazy? Right. That energy is going to be massive. And basically Biden's failed, right? I mean, we told you, right? Like, he's coming out of Iowa is ridiculous. He might do a little bit better in New Hampshire, but he's done. And they're going to be looking for the not Bernie candidate.
Yeah, he's holding on for South Carolina. That's what he's doing.
Who, Biden?
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, he'll do good in South Carolina. But I mean, is it going to be enough?
Right. No, it's not. But I'm just saying he's not going to drop out because Iowa went bad. It's not going to happen.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think he's done because it proves what I thought about him. Not that he's going to go away, because he's not.
Right.
Yeah, Doreen said Bloomberg is the only one running ads in our market. That's the thing. Like, he's spending money like crazy.
Yep. Hey, Deb. Deb saying a huge military plane has been flying over my house every 10 to 15 minutes, fairly low. I can explain. You're living Spring Hill. Is she in Spring Hill? Right.
Yes.
Okay. The airport that's up there on the east end of Spring Hill Drive at 41 is actually a decommissioned military air base, and it is the only runway between Tampa and Orlando that is capable of having large aircraft land on it. The Army and the Air Force regularly use it for training missions, for takeoff and landing missions. I was there one day when they were actually dropping parachute pallets out of C-5s as they flew down the runway at 50 feet, which is super exciting, because what that means is they fly down the runway at 150 miles an hour, they lower the back ramp, a parachute pops out the back, and then a tank drops 50 feet to the runway surface and skids along for a quarter mile while it slows down. And if you've never seen that happen, it's fucking terrifying. And they dropped 5 tanks on one pass down the runway.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. So I'm just saying that the activity you're seeing is not unusual for where you're living, because there is that old. You can go there now. You can still see revetments and bunkers where they used to aim machine guns. You have to calibrate.
Yeah, you showed me that when we were driving up there to the thing.
Yep, that's where that is. So anyway, that explains what's going on at the airport by your house. Nothing to see here. Everything's fine. Don't worry. They're not going to invade Hernando County. If he's going to send troops anywhere, it won't be Hernando County. It'll be Pinellas County or Dade County, where Corey's living, because there's all those commie rebel socialist Democrats down there. So.
Oh man, Reagan Weiss is like really mad about this, huh?
Fuck that guy.
Squirm. That's the thing. Like, watching Trump supporters get really, really upset about this. Fuck off. You elected a serial abuser of women who bragged about it. Yep. I do not fucking care what you think.
Yeah, I thought those clips of him with Jeffrey Epstein in that little 90-second right?
And Khashoggi? Holy shit. Like, they're not playing.
That's who he is. And I'm, yeah. But we gave them something to be morally outraged about other than the president. And that's maybe why it got under my skin a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just more deflection.
Maybe.
I don't know, man.
I have a suspicion that the way, we want to be able to run this super dignified 2-hour level of principles kind of thing, right? In a country that has moved on. And we still need to do that. That still needs to be the thing that we do most of the time. But we do need to figure out how to dominate a news cycle. Right? And like, making people angry who are devoid of any common sense or ability to take in new information doesn't bother me if we also get a news cycle out of it.
Right.
Because what are they going to do? Suddenly be convinced by anything we do? No. Right? But if we don't start dominating the media, like, it's basically finished. We could talk all we want. We could be as dignified as we want. And I was like, I'm not okay. Fine, right? That like the whole like, you know, if we go down, at least we're going to go down, you know, dignified. Well, tell that to the people that are going to be fucking getting their wombs sold when there's a 7-2 Supreme Court.
Right. I get it. I
really again, like this is why it is an interesting, you know, I wanted to have this discussion before I did anything about it because, you know, you're not wrong either, right? Like that, it's extremely valid. So where do we draw the line?
Well, I think one of the things that Nancy Pelosi has said about this is that when some of her members have been vociferous and profane, she said, I don't get to police how other members deal with their anger in this moment. So maybe that's where I need to be on Nancy Pelosi. I don't get to police Nancy Pelosi's frustration and anger in this moment. And I'm not trying to. I'm just saying it hit me in a way that I was like, and it just feels like a degradation in our argument. And I don't know. I get it. Greg, my early 20s age friends are reveling in Pelosi's action. They are calling her gangster as fuck. And I understand how, like, but everything that makes me feel good isn't necessarily a good thing. You know, heroin makes me feel good, but I really shouldn't do it. Do you see what I mean? Like sometimes the things that immediately give us a visceral good reaction feeling are not necessarily productive.
And sometimes being reserved loses us elections in the country.
Yeah. Ira Rumpf, welcome to Hashtag Coffee. That's a name I have not seen before. For those of us who are willfully ignorant of what happened, can you fill me in? At the end of President Trump's State of the Union speech last night, as you know, the Speaker of the House has provided a copy of the speech, and she stood up and very pointedly.
That's exactly the word I was going to use, actually, pointedly.
She tore the speech in half. She tore her copy of the speech in half. Now, some people make the argument, oh, she destroyed a federal document. Whoop, whoop, whoop. No, the president's copy goes to the National Archives. There's no crime involved. But she tore up his speech at the end of the State of the Union last night in front of the entire nation. And I like, and my position is I understand it. I get it. I can't imagine. I watched 3 minutes of the State of the Union. And I had it. Well, I can't imagine Nancy Pelosi, you know, having to sit behind that lying asshole for an hour, not being so frustrated. But at the same time, I feel like it was maybe a step back from the adult nature of how we've been proceeding all the way along here. So yeah, political theater. And by the way, she's getting a lot of news cycle attention for this. You are right in that. You know, we're not talking necessarily about the nuts and bolts of the 10,000 lies he told last night. PBS has done that. Like the news agencies have all done that.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like he's riding the Obama economy and taking credit for turning it around. Has been since day one. That's a known factual thing. And it is extraordinarily frustrating to watch him lie. Yeah.
Yep. Box said, I'm hopeful seeing what young people are that young people are inspired by it. What else can she do? So she did it. I mean,
well, she impeached the motherfucker in a very dignified and adult way.
Right.
That's the productive thing that Nancy Pelosi has shepherded, and I mean, like, minded the store over.
And so let's contrast a little bit. Susan Collins coming out and saying she's going to vote to acquit because Trump has learned his lesson. Trump in the same day saying, fuck yeah, the lesson I learned is I can get away with whatever the fuck I want to do. Right.
Yeah. It was a perfect call. That was his response to that question.
100%. And Pelosi, who has been doing everything in a totally dignified way, sits there for 45 minutes, listens to this fucking asshole lie for 45 minutes, and then does something simple about it. She ripped a piece of paper.
Yep.
And the snowflakes are losing their fucking minds. Yeah, I mean, I said impeached on the wrong thing, in my opinion. I mean, there's like 25 things we could have impeached him on. So, you know, what are you going to do?
But these are both things that had precedent in impeachment processes.
Right.
So
they were the things that like could easily damage the Republicans the most by acquitting him on them.
And you know, Boxer's saying exactly, and we failed. I got to tell you, I'm not sure that that's the case. There's no clock on this. the election is in November, right? And today I'm reading, I wish I had kept a link to it. Watchdog Group files Hatch Act complaint against Jared Kushner. It's ongoing. The House is going to continue to investigate. The Intel community and the Judiciary Committee of the House are both going to continue to investigate. So it's not over. We have not lost. We will know for sure if we've lost in November. And to my point, the way we make sure that we win in November is we all call our local party offices or our local candidate offices for our candidate of choice. And we get out there with a clipboard and a bunch of flyers and we start talking to our neighbors and registering voters. If you're a Floridian, today's the 5th, you have until I think the 11th to make sure that your registration is in order to vote in the primary. Have you checked? I've checked, right? That's what you can do today. And the way we win is by punishing the Senate in November for their votes. They're all standing up and saying why they're voting the way they are. And by the time we get to November, we'll have a lot more information about exactly why they failed. We didn't fail. They failed when they said, no, we don't need to hear anymore. He did it, but it's not impeachable. Okay. I hope they're all comfortable with President Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez having the power to just call in foreign help when she needs it to win her elections, because that's what just happened. And that's what's going to happen again in this election. So it needs to be a landslide. It needs to be overwhelming. And we have a lot of work to do. Yeah. 2022 is coming, Ira. We're going to get Rubio in 22. So, yeah. Ugh. So, yeah. Sorry, it's not a great day for democracy, but it's pretty out. Got the windows open. You can
indeed.
Also, if you live in West Central Florida, and I would think other parts of Florida too, we're going to have probably some severe weather Thursday night. Like they're already talking about severe thunderstorms as this cold front comes roaring through. It's going to get nasty on Thursday night. 40 to 50 mile an hour winds here on the Gulf Coast. So hatting down the batches. Commence battening. What are you reading?
Daniel Dale fact checking.
Yeah. So funny enough, the PodSave Twitter feed was sort of supportive of my feeling on this today. And I really respect those guys. So that was nice. And Ginny Rupert, my ally in this. Ginny Rupert thinks I'm right. I'm feeling like I'm having a good day. So, yeah. What's up with Rick Scott running an ad in Iowa? Did you see that the other day?
No.
One of our senators ran an ad in Iowa about the impeachment process.
Fundraising.
Out-of-state fundraising. Something Rick Scott's always been really good at.
And right. Maybe like running it in Iowa, it is a way to suck up to the president.
Yep, probably. Audience of one. Disgusting. Yeah, a governor so corrupt, the largest Medicare fraud in U.S. history was his responsibility, and we promoted him to the Senate.
Yeah, that's not a good look.
Because not enough people got out and knocked doors for Bill Nelson in 2018. You should be feeling like we felt in 2016 if you haven't gone out and done that. And I know many of you have. Many of you donated to my mayoral campaign in my tiny town in Florida, and I'm grateful for that. But there's more to do. There's a lot more to do. We had Danny and Danino on the show the other night during the Iowa caucus. We were Iowa caucus results was the name of our live stream. That was sort of an optimistic name. But we what was I saying, Corey? I completely lost the thread of what I was saying there. Merp. Yeah, I lost it.
Yeah, sorry, man. I'm trying to multitask. It's not working.
Why are you doing that?
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
I mean, it's almost 11 o'clock. We know what the news is. Maria Richards, Bill Nelson didn't even try to win. His campaign was lethargic at best. I think he got talked into running again because they didn't have a better candidate. That says a lot about us as a party in Florida. We have 5 constitutional offices open in Pasco County, and 0 Democrats have filed to run for any of them. County commission seats, tax collector seats, property appraiser seats, no Democrats running. We have 1 Democrat running for county commission against Jack Mariano. That would be Brandy Goyette, our friend of the show. She's been on many, many times. Hasn't been on in a while. It's time for us to have Brandy on again. We are lethargic right now. We're beat down, and that's exactly what they want us to be.
True that. Stevie Lovell actually just posted something on Facebook. A racist talk show host who called a young woman a slut for wanting access to birth control, and a teenage Chelsea Clinton, the White House dog, was given the highest civilian award in the country by a racist reality show host who bragged about sexually assaulting women. But we're talking about an extremely powerful woman ripping up a speech that deserved to get ripped up. Now, you will have noticed I've been repeating that constantly. I want all of the people watching this show to remember every single thing that we go out online and share and repeat over and over and over and over and over again. This is probably a lesson for the rest of our lives. Becomes common sense. And if we stay silent, if we don't do that, then Trump wins. I mean, we're seeing it already, right? He repeats bullshit over and over and over and over and over again, and we're watching our neighbors just eat it up. Like it's ridiculous. So just know that the mirror effect works, and that we have to practice it. We have to get good at it. We have to say the simple things, the simple principle statements, the simple value statements that, hell, even if I just end up hanging out with you fucking badasses over and over and over again, at least we will not be gaslit. To Greg's point all the time, like this is the rest of the country is getting gaslit constantly in this tiny little enclave, this tiny little community. No, we're going to light that shit on fire or, rip it up, as the case may be. Good talk.
Yeah. I got nothing else to talk about.
You're like, I like turtles.
I'm happy to hang out with you guys, but
I like turtles.
I've run out of gas.
And scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maria said time to stop bringing knives to a gunfight. I mean, there's that. And for the record, I think the biggest gun that I have seen all day is that freaking commercial that we should totally play again.
Yeah, you want me to do that?
I do.
I can do that. I should probably turn the volume down on it a little. It seemed a little loud to me. I don't know if that was true for...
No, it was all right. I just turned my mic down a little bit. We got the ways.
All right, here we go. Watch again. Yes. All right. Yeah, watch the clips. I mean, the speech is magnificent, but watch the clips.
Right?
It's midnight in Washington. The lights are finally going out in the Capitol after a long day in the impeachment trial of Donald J. Trump. You can't trust this president to do the right thing, not for 1 minute, not for one election, not for the sake of our country. You just can't.
Bing, bing, bong, bong.
He will not change, and you know it. History will not be kind to Donald Trump. I think we all know that. But because whenever we have departed from the values of our nation, we have come to regret it, and that regret is written all over the pages of our history. If you find that the House has proved its case and still vote to acquit, your name will be tied to his with a cord of steel and for all of history. He has betrayed our national security. He has compromised our elections, and he will do so again. You will not change him. You cannot constrain him. Truth matters little to him. What's right matters even less, and decency matters not at all. We have proven Donald Trump guilty. Now do impartial justice and convict him.
Isn't that Republicans who made that?
Yeah.
Fucking good job. So, Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, that was the show. Oh man, we are done. That usually gets at least discussed, if not a laugh.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just out of
No sorries. I agree.
I'm out of everything. I think I need some serious couch time. I got to work later today, so I'm gonna go get a bite to eat.
Do it up. Get after it.
Play some Minecraft.
Ooh,
something really
all right.
productive. Yeah.
All right.
All right. We love you guys very much. And as we always say at the end of every show, we're back Friday at 10 a.m. and maybe we'll do some. Let's do some science stuff Friday.
Yeah, I think it's much overdue.
I mean,
the debate is Friday night, right?
I believe so.
I think so.
I believe so. And then on Sunday, we're going to do a sermon at the Church of Reason on our Minecraft server. You are welcome to join us. By the way, Kathy Brinkman has Minecraft. I just got to get her username and whitelist her, and I think she's actually going to join us in the game.
Beautiful.
Which is the coolest thing ever. But if you can't join us on Minecraft on our server, you can watch here on YouTube because we're going to live stream it like we do every week. And so we'll see you on Friday, and then we'll see you again on Sunday. We love you guys very much. Sasquatch is real.